add to yours in the league?
Man, I think Luka. I mean, Luka's amazing and he's incredible. I think the way he can not only score the ball, but also the way he passes. And I think the thing about him is, like, he's not the fastest, he's not the most athletic, but he can get his defender to move where he wants him to go, and he takes up that space, and he does a really good job of either keeping the defender behind him or keeping him to the side. So I think that's something I can certainly learn from. Like, I always kind of want to run away from the defense rather than absorbing the contact and taking up the space that they give me. So I think obviously he's pretty incredible. He averages like a 30-point triple-double. So he makes it look pretty easy, but I can promise you.
Pay close attention to what just happened here, because this moment matters. Caitlin Clark just went on record and revealed her basketball idol, the player she studies, the one she wants to model her game after. It's Luka Doncic. Sounds harmless until you catch one critical detail. Her head coach, Stephanie White, went on national television and openly said the Dallas Mavericks play better basketball without Luka on the floor. Let that sink in. The franchise star just told the world she wants to emulate the exact type of player her own coach believes makes teams worse. One voice is praising greatness. The other is questioning it. And right now, those two narratives are on a direct collision course.
We found out what's about that, because Stephanie White has been successful. She's made it to WNBA finals, she's made it to WNBA semis, she's been a coach of the year. She's made it to 3 semi-finals in a row as a coach. And obviously won a Commissioner's Cup last year, and is genuinely a good basketball coach. The question that a lot of us have had is she the right coach for Caitlin Clark? Not is she a good coach, because I think everybody knows that Stephanie White's a really good basketball coach. It's, is she the right coach for Caitlin Clark specifically? And that for me is always a really interesting.
Here's the context everyone's completely missing, and it changes everything. This wasn't some throwaway comment Stephanie White made years ago. This happened in December, right before Christmas. At the time, the Mavericks were sitting as the 2nd or 3rd seed in the West. Luka Doncic was playing at an MVP level, averaging close to 30 points a night, and then he got injured. During that injury stretch, Dallas went on a winning streak. Role players got real touches. The ball moved faster. The offense looked smoother. And that's when White went on a national broadcast and made her point, clearly and unapologetically. Ball-dominant players like Luka, she argued, are net negatives to team success. Her words were blunt. More people score. More people touch the ball. The offense flows better without him. Now here's where things get uncomfortable. Caitlin Clark is the most ball-dominant player in the WNBA. She's not Steph Curry sprinting off screens and living off catch-and-shoots. She's a high-usage, heliocentric point guard who controls possessions from start to finish. In other words, she is Luka, just in a different uniform. And her coach just spent an entire broadcast explaining why that exact style of play is a problem.
Not even remotely close to Stephen Curry. They don't play anything alike. Like, it's like saying, I'm trying to think of just a comparison to Stephen Curry. It's like saying Jimmer and Stephen Curry played anything alike. Jimmer just comes off screens and shoots from 30. Like, Steph Curry is this off-the-ball mover, came into the league as a 2 guard, is actually a point guard. Like, Caitlin Clark's like a Halliburton type point guard. It's mad. She is nothing. She shoots from far. She is nothing like Stephen Curry. 2 favorite players, respective leagues. Caitlin Clark and Doncic get more hate from keyboard warriors. I mean, Jimmy High Roller single-handedly saving Luka Doncic's legacy.
Now listen closely to how she explains what she wants to steal from Luka's game, because this is the real tell. It's not the shooting. It's not the athleticism. She openly admits Luka isn't the fastest or most explosive player on the floor. What Caitlin Clark wants to master is something much deeper. The way Luka manipulates defenders. How he uses his body to take up space. How he absorbs contact instead of avoiding it. That's not just a skill. That's a philosophy. She's basically saying, I want to slow the game down. I want to control the pace. I want defenders reacting to me, not the other way around. I want to dominate possessions. And that belief is the polar opposite of what Stephanie White has preached. White wants motion offenses, ball movement, multiple playmakers, a system where the ball never sticks. Clark wants to be Luka, which means the ball does stick. It stays in her hands. She makes every read, every decision, every possession runs through her. Two elite basketball minds. Two completely different blueprints. And right now, the Indiana Fever are caught right in the middle of that collision.
However, we have to talk about what Caitlin Clark said today. So, if you guys know, there is an iconic clip of Stephanie White, and this is like maybe a month before Luka got traded. Or no, it was right before Christmas. So it was right before Luka picked up that injury. And the Mavs were flying. Or maybe, sorry, no, it was just after Christmas. So, up until Luka got injured, the Mavs were flying. I think they were the second seed or the third seed in the West. They were near the top of the West anyway. They were doing really well. Him and Kyrie were killing it. And Luka was looking like he was playing at an MVP level. Absolutely incredible. And obviously he got injured. And Stephanie White on a broadcast said that the Dallas Mavericks were much better without Luka because more people score and more people touch the ball. And the ball moves better without Luka.
And before anyone rushes in with the Steph Curry comparison, let's shut that down right now. Caitlin Clark is nothing like Steph Curry. Yes, they both shoot from deep. That's where the similarities end. Steph entered the league as a two-guard. He became the greatest off-ball mover basketball has ever seen. Relentless cuts, constant motion, sprinting off screens, thriving in an offense where the ball doesn't live in his hands. That is not Caitlin Clark. Caitlin is a high-usage point guard. She needs the ball to be effective. She orchestrates. She controls. She dictates tempo. Comparing her to Steph is the same lazy analysis people use when they say Trae Young is like Steph, purely based on shooting range and nothing else. Now here's the real comparison nobody wants to say out loud. If Trae Young were 6 feet 7 inches, which is essentially what Caitlin Clark is proportionally in the WNBA, we'd be talking about one of the most dominant players in basketball history. That's the lane she's in. Not Steph. Luka. Trae. High usage, ball-dominant floor generals who make everyone around them better by controlling everything. And once you understand that, the tension between Clark and her coach's philosophy becomes impossible to ignore.
That like fluidity in their movement like a Shea. Paige is probably your best example of it. But imagine if Shea never, instead of focusing on mid, never shot the three or never went to the basket. That's what Paige Beckers is. And was mediocre, below average on defense. Paige is Timu Shea. But in terms of how they play, absolutely. Again, Caitlin is if Caitlin can become a Luka type player in the half court, I don't think she will. Luka's too big and strong, finishes too well at the basket. And I still think that Caitlin, her peak is I don't think Caitlin's ever going to be the best half-court player in the WNBA. I don't think that's a thing that's going to happen. I think Caitlin is looking at these players trying to get better. I think as much as anything, what we saw from Caitlin as a rookie, all she needs to do is be better at going left and taking left-hand layups, be a little bit better at shooting going right so that she's the threat, and get a little bit better on defense. And that player with the right...
Here's what makes this whole situation so fascinating and, honestly, unavoidable. Nobody is questioning whether Stephanie White is a great coach. Her resume shuts that down immediately. 3 straight semifinal appearances. A Commissioner's Cup title last year. Coach of the Year. A trip to the WNBA Finals. That's elite. Period. So this has never been about can she coach. The real question is different and far more uncomfortable. Is she the right coach for Caitlin Clark? Because those are not the same thing. You can be a brilliant coach with a proven system and still be the wrong fit for a generational talent who plays a completely different style of basketball. And what we're watching unfold in public right now is that fundamental mismatch becoming impossible to ignore. Caitlin came into her second season trying to completely reinvent herself. New moves. Hesitation dribbles. Step back threes. Layers of complexity added all at once. But the foundation wasn't solid yet. She still couldn't consistently finish going left. She missed open layups all season. Her shot selection going right wavered because she didn't fully trust it. Instead of sharpening the weapons that already made her dominant, she tried to build Rome in a day. And when a generational player starts overhauling her entire game this early, it raises a quiet but serious question. Is she adapting to grow, or adapting to fit a system that was never built for her in the first place?
I'm not going to say Luca's the player she's most similar to, because I do believe that in the full court she is most similar to a Halliburton. But you can tell that Caitlin Clark likes to dominate the ball. And the way she works best in the half court is not through a motion offense, not through being an off-the-ball player, not being Stephen Curry. Because, by the way, Caitlin Clark is as close... Saying Caitlin Clark is Stephen Curry is like saying Trae Young Stephen Curry. Like, she's nowhere near... I wouldn't say she's anywhere near Trae Young, because, like, she's much... Like, if she's Trae Young, if Trae Young was 6'7", like, that's what she's equivalent of. She is the height of a small forward. Like, if Trae Young was 6'7", but if Trae Young was 6'7", we'd be talking about maybe like the best player in the world. So, yeah, maybe she's taller than Trae Young as is. But if you guys didn't hear it today,
and this is where the Luka comparison becomes so revealing. Listen carefully to what Caitlin actually says she needs to improve. She doesn't say, "I need to move better off the ball." She doesn't say, "I need to fit into a motion offense." She says she wants to learn how to use her body like Luka does, how to take up space, how to absorb contact, how to stop running away from defenders and instead make them react. That tells you everything about how she sees her own development. Caitlin knows she's not the fastest player on the floor. She knows she's not the most explosive athlete. But she believes she can dominate through basketball IQ, pace control, and physical positioning. That is Luka's entire game. He's not explosive. He's methodical. He breaks defenses with angles, timing, patience, and a terrifying understanding of how to manipulate coverages. Now zoom out, because this is where it gets serious. You have a franchise player who just turned pro. One of the most marketable athletes in women's sports. Someone bringing unprecedented attention, revenue, and eyeballs to the league. And she's publicly saying her basketball philosophy aligns with a player her head coach has openly described as representing bad basketball. That's not a small disagreement. That's a foundational disconnect about how the team should function. And it's not going away. Caitlin Clark is not suddenly becoming an off-ball player. She's not transforming into someone who thrives as one option in a motion offense. That's not who she is. That's not what makes her special. She's a heliocentric guard who needs the ball to maximize her impact, and she's smart enough to recognize Luka Doncic as the blueprint for doing that at the highest level. White can point to years of success. Caitlin can point to Luka Doncic leading a team to the NBA Finals while being one of the most ball-dominant players in the sport. Neither is objectively wrong. They just believe in fundamentally different paths to winning. And this goes way beyond one team. The WNBA is at a crossroads. For years, the league has emphasized team basketball, ball movement, and collective success. That's been the culture. Now a generational talent is saying, actually, the best way to win might be putting the ball in one player's hands and letting them dominate. That's a direct challenge to the league's basketball identity. If Caitlin succeeds playing this way, if she wins championships as a ball-dominant guard, it will force every coach and front office to rethink what winning basketball looks like. And if she struggles, it validates everything White said about teams being better without heliocentric stars. The stakes couldn't be higher. This isn't just a coach-player dynamic. It's a referendum on modern basketball philosophy, and we're about to watch the answer unfold in real time. So here's the real question. If you're running the Indiana Fever, do you build your entire offense around Caitlin Clark as a Luka-style heliocentric guard, even if that means moving on from a Coach of the Year? Or do you tell your franchise player she has to adapt to a team-first system, even if it limits what makes her special? Because you can't do both. And pretending this tension doesn't exist isn't going to make it disappear. Drop your take in the comments, because this decision will define the Fever's future for the next decade.